Let's talk about 5-number summaries. When you have a very skewed distribution, as we do in this case, the mean is not a very good representation of the data. It could mislead you. For example, when we found the mean previously, we found that it was roughly 7.3. However, we can see in our data that some of the readings are quite a bit higher than 7.3, including this reading in A2, which is 104. So if we simply look at the average lead content, that doesn't tell us very much about this tail that we see toward the right side of the graph. So for skewed distributions, we tend to use a 5-number summary instead of just the average. To complete the 5-number summary in Excel, let's begin by talking about the first number, which is the minimum. I'll represent that with MIN. And the last number, which is the maximum. Now, we saw previously that in order to find the minimum, we can do this automatically in Excel by saying equals MIN, open the parentheses, and then select your list. To find the maximum, we've done this previously also. We'll say equals MAX and select our list. Now the number in the middle, the third number, is the median. We've also seen this previously. We'll say equals median of our list. However, there are two new numbers for a 5-number summary that we need to calculate, called Q1 and Q3. Now, Q1 stands for first quartile. Now, by quartile, I mean a quarter of the list. Now, the word first quartile means that we are looking for the first 25% of the list. So, if we are looking to find the first quartile of a list, we would go 25% of the way up the list. We can do this in Excel automatically by saying equals quartile.inc and then open the parentheses. Now this formula is a little bit different than the other three. We're going to select our list, but then after that place a comma. And then after the comma, we place the number 1. We place the 1 to tell Excel that we are looking for the first quartile. After that, we close the parentheses. We can find the third quartile, or Q3, similarly. As you might expect, the third quartile is 3/4 of the way up the list, or 75%. The formula for this is also quartile INC. Once again, we select our list. And this time we'll say comma 3 to show that we are going for the third quartile. Let's demonstrate this now. In the minimum box, I'll say equals MIN and select my list. Starting in A1, I will click, hold the button down, and move my mouse to select all of the numbers. I'll scroll back up now, close my parentheses, and press enter. Now for Q1, we say quartile.inc, open the parentheses. Notice that underneath the formula, it says the word array. That just means now I need to select my list. Again, starting in A1. Going down to the bottom of the list, scroll back up. But now, instead of closing the parentheses, I place a comma. And then the number 1. Notice that the numbers 0 through 4 appear after the comma, telling me that any of these numbers are valid in this formula. However, we are after 1 right now, so I'll type 1 and close the parentheses. This gives me my first quartile. For the median, we say equals median. Start in A1, draw our blue box all the way down, scroll back up, and close the parentheses. Now for Q3, we'll say equals quartile.inc, open the parentheses, select my list, scroll back up, place a comma, and then we want the third quartile, so I'll say 3. Now close the parentheses, and we have Q3 equals 6.5. Now for the max, I'll say equals max, open the parentheses, and once again, select my numbers. Scroll back up and close the parentheses. So I have a maximum of 104. So we can see that the minimum, Q1, the median, and Q3 are all fairly close together. What this tells us, again, is that the largest amount of data is concentrated fairly close to 0. However, we do have a tail, which is why our maximum is much higher than everything else. This would tell us that we have fairly low amounts of lead content for most of the drinking water, but we have a few that are much higher than the others.